What's going on, guys? T-Mart here, and today we're going to be talking about Call of Duty 2016. Now, no, unfortunately, I don't have any new information or crazy leaks or rumors or anything like that. But I wanted to kind of talk about everything that we, have kind of heard so far and all the rumors that came out this past week. And keep in mind, there's still rumors. It's not 100% confirmed, but it does look very likely that Call of Duty 2016 is going to be going to space, and it's going to take place in the far, far future. And I wanted to kind of take an analytical approach towards looking at this because I feel like a lot of people have reacted to this rather than kind of thinking about it. So, obviously, most people's reactions, I even did a poll on Twitter, and it was, definitely very, very one-sided in the fact that most people said, and kind of like the underlying, kind of like response from the community was, this is awful. We didn't want this. How on earth could Infinity Ward do this? Do they not know this community? I'm not going to play Call of Duty. I'm not going to buy the game. I'm switching over to Battlefield. I'm going to sue Activision, some people said. It was absolutely crazy. And while I understand that a lot of people, including myself, were kind of looking forward to potentially going back in the past and reliving, old times and going back to like the, World War, scenarios or Cold Wars or stuff like that, I don't think that this response is necessary. And I think that even though we're going to space, it's going to be a lot different than what most people are assuming, all right? So this is why Call of Duty 2016, if it is in space, may not be that bad, all right? So the first thing I want to bring up is that although campaign and multiplayer are going to have ties and they're, always kind of related to each other in a way, they're very, very different entities. And there is always a ton of stuff that happens in the campaign that doesn't come anywhere close to multiplayer. Campaign is always extremely outlandish. It's crazy. It has insane weapons and equipment and locations and all that kind of stuff. And while some of the multiplayer maps may be based off of that, you'll see some multiplayer weapons in the campaign, stuff like that. They're two entirely different beings. So there's a lot of stuff you see in campaign that will never make its way into multiplayer. It's been like that forever. I mean, in Black Ops 3, we had that a spike gun that shot explosive spikes down into the ground that blew up and stuff like that. We had all the exo abilities to be able to make people puke on command and send out flies to set people on fire and stuff like that. None of that ever made it into multiplayer. Think back to Black Ops 2 is another example. You guys remember the Black Ops 2 campaign, or the campaign trailer that we saw where they had that wall bang sniper that could see through walls and would shoot people through walls? There's always a bunch of super outlandish stuff in campaign that doesn't make it into multiplayer. So what we've heard so far from Shinobi and the fact that there, there's planet to planet fighting and there's, spaceships and this big loading bay and all this stuff, that's campaign, friends. That doesn't mean that's what multiplayer is going to be like. In terms of multiplayer, space is really in the grand scheme of things, just gonna be a theme. So this is kind of hard to explain. I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from here, because there are a lot of people that say Call of Duty is the same thing year after year, just with different skins. And although that's entirely not true, because they always innovate, they bring new things in, they try new things out, and they tweak weapons, all that kind of stuff. In a sense, it's also kind of true. A lot of Call of Duty maps are the same ideas and the same themes and stuff. They just change the way they look. They change the building layouts and stuff, but the general theme is always still there. The same thing goes for weapons. There's, strong bolt action snipers that kill in one shot, or there's semi-auto snipers. There's SMGs that shoot really, really fast like the Vesper and kill it up close, but aren't good at range. There's always, although it does change and they do manipulate the weapons and change the stats and change the way they look, and the same thing for the maps and the players and everything else, it's always kind of the same formula. The Call of Duty game is made in the code. It's made in the engine that we use. It's made in that 60 FPS super smooth gameplay. It's made in the, primarily 3-laned maps. It's made in all that stuff. All of it's kind of mixed together, and they mix it up every year, but it's always kind of the same ingredients, just in different amounts. So although you're adding space to the mix, that doesn't mean it's going to take away from what Call of Duty has been, all right? So it's literally just going to be Call of Duty in space. We may be on different planets, we may be fighting in different areas. Yes, there probably will be some changes, Black Ops 3 introduced water. There's a lot of water movement. Maybe there'll be an anti-gravity area in some of the maps or something like that. I have no clue, but for the most part, I guarantee you, it's still going to be that same Call of Duty. It's just going to have a futuristic space theme to it. That doesn't mean that it has to entirely change. Everybody says, oh, we wanted boots on the ground. just because it's in space doesn't mean it won't be boots on the ground. Like, that has nothing to do with it. Space is a theme, and some of the stuff is going to be themed around that, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be absolutely crazy. People floating around in outer space, zero gravity, jetpack boosting like astronauts and stuff. Like, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be Call of Duty. Now, in terms of the boots on the ground sentiment, I don't think that it will be 100% boots on the ground like old school, you know, COD 4, Black Ops 2, stuff like that. I feel like we've kind of moved beyond that at this point. Actually, I'll probably do another video talking about that at some point. I've got a feeling that it'll probably be very similar to Black Ops 2, or Black Ops 3, I'm sorry. Maybe even toned down a little bit, but I feel like that kind of fits into the theme itself. Like, I don't think it's going to be crazy, you know, advanced warfare style, but I could see some thrust jumping, and I could see some wall running and stuff like that. Black Ops 3 did it. For the most part, people are very, very happy. Obviously, you can't keep everybody happy, but for the most part, people like Black Ops 3, and so I would expect it to be somewhere around there. Again, like I said, maybe even toned down a little bit. We'll have to wait and see, but it won't be Advanced Warfare. I can guarantee you guys that. So for all you guys saying, oh, we want boots on the ground, you're going to get Black Ops 3 or less than that. Like, you don't have to worry about that. It's not going to be absolutely crazy, at least. I hope not. Like, I really don't think that they would do that. So, and then the last thing I want to say is really just like, Infinity Ward did not do well with their last title, all right? So I'm not going to call it a flop, but it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the series. And it's kind of unfair. They were in a really, really bad position. There was a lot of turmoil with the staffing at the studio. They were developing for both first and last gen. You know, at the same time, while still on the normal Call of Duty cycle, the 3-year cycle hadn't been introduced yet. So they were, you know, short on time, short on staff, short on resources. It kind of... It sucked for them. They got the short end of the stick, and it resulted in a Call of Duty game that, although I don't think it was awful, I actually enjoyed Ghosts, you know, to an extent. There were some frustrating things, and it, you know, I don't know. I'm trying to be nice here. I don't think it's as bad as the community portrays it to be, but it definitely was one of the worst Call of Duty games. So, with that being said, do you think Infinity Ward is going to reinvent the wheel this year? Do you think they're going to go crazy like Advanced Warfare did with jetpacks and boosting and stuff like that? And do you think they're going to entirely rewrite the story of what we like about Call of Duty? Absolutely not. They're going to stick to their roots. They're going to stick to the old school. They're going to add their own flair and their own, you know, newness to it. But they're going to stick to the Call of Duty that everybody knows and loves because they don't want another flop. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to take any huge experiments and kind of, you know, stick their neck out in the line here because they already didn't have a good game last game. So, I mean, you have to keep in mind, Infinity Ward is the one that really kind of brought Call of Duty into the modern era. Look at Call of Duty 4. That absolutely changed the game of multiplayer gaming and really, you know, kind of like gave birth to the Call of Duty series. It was already a popular game, but COD 4 blew it out of the water. Modern Warfare 2, although it had its problems, was a fantastic game. Modern Warfare 3 was a fantastic game. The Modern Warfare series is going to go down in history as one of the best series in the world. And it came before the Black Ops series. So you can't hold that against them, all right? That's all I'm saying. Like, I think they're going to make a good game this year. And I think Space Theme isn't necessarily going to be that bad. Yes, it's going to be a little bit weird. No, nobody really expected to ever be this far in the future of Call of Duty, but I think it's going to make for a fantastic campaign. I bet this is going to be the best campaign we've ever had. I can't wait to be flying around in space. And I think it's going to make for an interesting take on multiplayer. I think it's going to be the same multiplayer we know and love. It's just going to have a space theme to it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, just kind of in recap, Call of Duty is made by the map design. It's made by the weapon balancing. It's made by, you know, all that other stuff. It doesn't matter if you're fighting on the surface of Mars or you're fighting over in, you know, Afghanistan, or if you're fighting here in the US. You know, it doesn't matter where it is. As long as Call of Duty has all of those, you know, ingredients and tools and features and stuff that we know and love, it doesn't matter what the theme is, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. So space, you know, I think could be a pretty cool take. I think it could be awesome to have futuristic weapons, futuristic maps, you know, see, you know, star lines and horizons and be going to different places in the universe. I think it could be pretty cool as long as they keep that base foundation of Call of Duty in there. So, yeah, that's just kind of what I'm thinking. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Are you, you know, entirely against space? Are you kind of open to it? What are you guys thinking? Please leave comments down below. Let's get a discussion started. We are going to be talking about more Call of Duty 2016 over the coming, weeks and months and stuff. Hopefully we'll get some solid information here pretty soon. But, this is all just based off those Chernobyl rumors. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to catch you all later. Check out the Easter Screen. Peace out, guys.